Hey guys, my name is Ryan, and welcome to Overwatch Central and another Omen by HP video. They are of course the proud PC providers of the Overwatch League, as you're seeing on screen with the little logo that they have there. Today I yet again want to talk about Chengdu Hunters. A couple of months ago we highlighted this team in the first stage of Season 2, and they are a team notorious for not only not playing the meta of GOATs in Stage 1, but also playing some other zany compositions. So what happens when you give this team a brand new patch, a new hero with Baptiste? Well, they take whatever meta we thought was possible and turned it on its head. They brought not one crazy composition, but multiple ones into this new meta. So I honestly think that they're dictating things at this point. So today we're going to go over the crazy compositions and why they work for this team. I think it's worth saying that I don't think that Chengdu are the best team in the Overwatch League by any stretch. Maybe with teams like Vancouver or NYXL when they play them, these strategies will just not work. But against the teams that have played so far, which were the Paris Eternal and the Washington Justice, the Paris Eternal, at least, I would say are the bar of Season 2 Overwatch League teams. They're not the best, but they're certainly not the worst. They're right in the middle, and I think Chengdu is better than average. But their understanding of meta and the compositions that teams can prepare for is going to be the difference. I'll give you a solid example. This composition I'm calling the Symmetra Flying Bunker. This was against Paris Eternal on Hanamura. Chengdu also played Temple of Anubis, but they didn't use this composition because I only really think it works for Hanamura, as you will see very clearly. This is a bunker comp as you're seeing in the top left of your screen, which is notorious for running defense. As you can see, Paris Eternal are running something similar. It's a very stationary composition with Orisa and Baptiste. Paris Eternal are also running a Bastion, which can absolutely tear through enemies if they're right in front of him in his sightline. I mention that because that's a very important aspect on what Chengdu are doing here. Instead of running a fast composition or GOATs, Chengdu decide to bring out Symmetra to try and bypass this. And they actually succeed. They got onto the point, are able to touch, and it just means that Paris Eternal are forced into this awkward situation where the stationary team has to move. If they don't, they lose the point. If they do move, they're going to be a little bit lopsided. The battle of attrition commences, and Chengdu are able to just get the picks that they need and take this point forward. But I do think that this is a smart composition. Looking at a replay, we can see that they go up onto the high ground on the right hand side. They know at this point the Paris Eternal are running a Bastion. They know pretty much where he is. You see Elsa for a second kind of spot him out and look to see where they've placed their Bastion, and they work around it. They teleport to an area where the Bastion can't see, they hide behind the big bell on the point, and it just means that Paris can't do anything. Their Bastion is made completely useless. And not only that, they take this momentum onto the second point using their ultimates and managing again to win this war of attrition where Paris Eternal just can't move them, especially with this composition. I mean, Paris Eternal using EMP in this fight are able to get a couple of picks on Bacon Jack, for example, but with the addition of Baptiste's ultimate and Symmetra's, they are able to make their progress onto the point, and Elsa just tears people apart. I've never seen anything like this with the Symmetra on attack, but if there was going to be a team that made this effective, it would be Chengdu. Of course, the negative aspect of this is that teams now are aware of what this composition is, so they'd be better prepared for it. And as I said, against better teams, they will probably not let this happen. But that's the funny part of it as well. Chengdu had to attack again and use the same exact strategy, and it succeeded. Paris Eternal knew that it was coming, they positioned a little bit differently, but Chengdu used the big bell as cover from the Bastion, and as you've seen from Shadowburn's perspective, he can't see or do anything. Eventually, they lose out again, and Chengdu can attack the second point with the exact same strategy, and yet again it works. But that's just on attack. What did they run on defense? Well, again, very strange strategy. They have the Mercy Baptiste on their defense, which is fairly straightforward. They have an Orisa for this bunker comp, but then they're running triple DPS with a Bastion, Torbjorn, and Farah. All of these heroes can fight from a distance. We do see Paris Eternal able to take the point in both occasions for the first point, but I think this just goes to show the kind of team that Chengdu are. Speaking of triple DPS, they ran this quite a lot in different scenarios. Jinmu was almost always on the Farah. There were a couple of occasions where he switched and changed, but Elsa had so many different heroes in his lineup. Bacon Jack pretty much switching between Soldier, Bastion, and Tracer in a lot of occasions. But here's just an example of that gameplay on screen as you're seeing. They ran this on Oasis in both occasions when playing against Paris and Washington. They ran triple DPS Torb defense on King's Row against Washington Justice. They ran it on Blizzard World for Hybrid. And yeah, for the most part they were running this composition. This was the most meta lineup that they ran, as a 1-3-2 kind of comp. They also ran double sniper, which is another composition that we've highlighted. It's a fairly straightforward one to go over. It's a Widowmaker and a Hanzo, typically used on maps like Gibraltar where you're moving a payload along, and it's really important to get those picks. They also ran it as a defense composition on Blizzard World against Paris, which worked out well in their favor. So they were switching between different comps, but a main question I assume we're going to get asked is, did they play GOATs? And the answer there was yes, they played it in areas where, to be honest, it doesn't matter what team you are, you will probably end up playing GOATs in this area. Maps like that are of course Rialto, very well known for being a tank-based map as a whole. And he also ran it at the end of Gibraltar, so just these payload maps where they need to sort of put a halt on it. Eichenwald, I imagine, would be another example of that, where the third point really closes in and that's where the tanks can come out to play. So they did use this composition, but it was about 10% of the time, if that. They've only played 2 games so far in this stage, with a few more bigger games to come up, but I do get the impression that no matter who Chengdu play, they are going to move these compositions. They're not just going to go, okay, we're playing against NYXL or Vancouver, we need to be a bit more respectful, let's go GOATs. They are most likely going to be running these stupid, crazy compositions at them. The only composition that I haven't highlighted so far that they did play was Anti-Dive, which was more of a traditional lineup, with the DPS kind of being McCree and Brigitte, of course known for their CC, and really good on areas of maps like Oasis University, right? Because it's so closed in, that's where McCree can shine. Brigitte's just there to help with the CC, stun targets out, and just add a little bit more healing, I suppose. But this is how the Chengdu Hunters completely demolished any idea that we had of the meta. The good thing about this is you have teams that are leaning towards being much tankier, running stuff like GOATs. Some teams maybe wanted to run more traditional lineups of Dive. Sombra Pharaoh was used a lot. Uprising have been running Baptiste GOATs a lot. Depending on the team, depends on what you're going to see. But Chengdu Hunters are really leading the way when it comes to the crazy new compositions that can be played. And this Symmetra Fly bunker composition that we focused on primarily in this video is a really good example of that. I really like watching this team. I hope we see more stupid compositions to highlight, but this is just a perfect example of what a completely unstable team could do with a completely unstable patch, meta, and Overwatch as a whole. This is how the game is meant to be played, I think. But I hope you enjoyed this video, and thanks again to Omen by HP for helping support this video. Proud PC providers of the Overwatch League. All of the games that we've gone over in this gameplay were played on Omen PCs, so pretty much the best of the best. But thanks for watching, take care, and I'll see you next time.